teacher or a principal who's not afraid of flipped classroom or of videos.
All right. All I have is this. Do you have a resume?
How'd you get that and not get the rest?
I have this.
That is so funny.
This. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, because I dropped everything. I had mailed something separately as well as dropping that off. Yeah, because I have so many subject area certifications, it throws off people, I think. I've been at this for like 8 years, and I just pick up through that testing. Take an alternatives test.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I know how to do that. So
where have you been working lately?
Lately, it's been language academies, mostly. It's last time I was in a charter school was 18 months ago. I was part of that. Sure, you're familiar with these credit recovery programs,
I am.
9 through 12.
Okay.
Mavericks. I think it was called ALS, the one that's now SunEd over on the. They're all in the 3 through 311 area. Generally, they need someone who's able to pick up a lot. In addition to, say, going in as the math teacher, I'll be there when they're working on some social studies, and I'll say, hey, you got some math in there. Oh, no, this isn't math. This is social studies. Oh, okay. Right.
So what was your role at the Language Academy?
Oh, ESOL. It's basically helping people. It's sort of under the radar. We've got about 2,000 people at any one time from other countries at these little private academies. There's 4 of them right here in Fort Lauderdale. And they basically, people pay pretty good money to come over and just learn how to do conversational English. And what I try to drive them to is to build a portfolio. So this is something to create a resume.
Okay, and then your experience before that was at a charter school?
Yeah.
And what was your role there?
I've been a reading teacher at a charter school. That was the Downtown Academy. That was 2004. And so that was a 6 through 8 situation where the teacher moved from classroom to classroom.
Okay.
The kids stayed in one place. It was ideal because they could keep all of their stuff in one little box, and we could do projects together, like I'd be with the history teacher and the math teacher, and I'd be the reading teacher, and we'd create a project. And they'd be working on that project through the term. So generally I try to encourage colleagues to do something other than be taught the way they were taught. I mean, that's something I had to break out of. I'm 55, I've been at this game a long time compared to some new teachers. And charters often get new teachers. What I try to do is ask the new teacher, think about all the things you've been learning about. I mean, you read the newspaper. Don't you think things are a little different now than they were when you were in school? Banks, they've got an ATM, hospitals have a different attitude. What could we do in the school that could catch up with the times? And are you familiar with Dan Pink's work at all?
No, I'm not.
Right. He has this wonderful concept. He's been pigeonholed as a business educator, but he's got some important messages for teachers saying, if you're going to have your students ready for the new business, the global business world, here are 3 things. And ConnectedPrinciples.com has some excellent summaries of his book. Nobody needs to read these books. You just need to go to Connected Principles. They've got it right there. It says, we should be doing this projects, trying to get multi-class, work on one project through several different subjects. And I respect very much the Finnish model, which has the door open. I respect charter schools that are not closely connected with unions. I think it's a one-on-one relationship, principal-teacher.
Yeah, we didn't have unions.
Oh, terrific, great.
Why are you looking to leave the job you're at now?
It's a part-time job.
Okay.
Right. Language schools don't pay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But they are so interesting.
Yeah. What subjects do you prefer to teach? What would you say is your strength?
I try to get a kid to be ready for the SAT.
Okay.
So that's what I do in the evening.
Okay.
SAT. I try to show them that what they learned in 7th and 8th grade gets them through about half the SAT. And most kids say, what about all this other stuff? There's no calculus, there's no trig in SAT. So I love having this in the 8th grade classroom, say, this is too early. Yeah, well, let's get started.
Have you had
math and
English? Okay, I was going to talk about English because that's something. Have you had experience teaching writing to students, like
writing across the curriculum? I've been in schools where they've done that sort of, you write across the curriculum. So even though I'm teaching math, we're writing it out.
Okay.
Particularly valuable was this Mavericks I was working at, because I got interested in how do you get a boy who's he'll talk for 15 minutes about one of his favorite movies or whatever. You get him to write about the movie, you'd be lucky to get a paragraph.
Right.
So
that's one of the things we need, because I don't know if you're familiar, but in the state of Florida, this is the last year that the students are taking the FCAT for writing, and they have to be able to write to a prompt, which is, if that's the test, if that's what they want to see if they can do, that's what they have to see if they can do.
Right.
It'll be changing, and we are encouraging, of course, we always, of course, writing across but we do need them to be prepared for that assessment. Have you had experience, or do you have, how would you approach that if you were the language arts teacher in that classroom to get them to write a 4-paragraph essay, 3-paragraph, 5-paragraph essay? What would you do?
It's a case of triage. It's clear that there are some kids who love writing. That's great. So they're the journalers. That's fine. The ones I focus on are those that really need speech to text. I love the concept of having them talk and having a partner write down, or it can be a video that records it and then it's transcribed later, or I'm sure you're familiar with Dragon. So what I've had good experience with was bringing in a computer, having the kid talk, and then he realized, my God, I got 4 pages here? Yeah, and now the real task begins, because writing is rewriting, and that's where they really start growing. So you go, I did all that? So, yeah, now let's go back and see what we can remove. So it was a useful process, being able to engage them. I'm prepared to work, and if given that challenge, to work especially with boys that don't like writing, I've got a number of techniques that I use.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's definitely a good way to go. Talking about it definitely gets them going first before they have to just think they can't do that. The experience that you've had, what type of demographics were the students?
33311.
Oh, okay, sorry. Area. And it seems that's kind of your passion is at risk, working with kids.
Yeah. Don't you want to go and do something with the ones that... see, if I'm going to put in 10 hours, I want it to be effective. Rafe Esquith, I think that's his name, the guy in L.A., Teach Like Your Hair's on Fire. I mean, the secret is just arrive at 7 and leave when the last kid leaves. And so he's there until 8 o'clock. I don't know if that's your model, but I'd certainly be happy to be part of that.
Yeah, so besides being, having the credentials here to teach some of these other areas, we also encourage teachers to do clubs or do anything like that. What would your interest be if you were asked to do a club? Or
I have a number of different directions. I mean, obviously, it makes sense for the writing teacher to do journalism or newspaper.
Makes sense, but we don't always do things by logic.
I also like the idea of a yearbook that costs $2. I think it's so funny, all these schools, they got $35 yearbooks, and one school was giving 5 hours off if you bought the yearbook. And I'm thinking, wait, the whole idea is to have people separate. Their time is more valuable than any money donation. I don't know. So it's basically Amazon's in the business to sell books. They got smart, created Create Space. You can create a book that's looks just like a yearbook, and the kids could have laid it out in Word, and that's something. Well, I could do the yearbook committee, something like that.
Right.
My goal is for the kids who leave me are going to have something that they carry with them other than a transcript. That's imperative, because I'm more than a letter in the alphabet. Transcript's just a collection of letters.
Definitely. If I walked into your language arts block and it was a 60-minute block, how would you utilize your time if you had to break it into 5-10 minutes doing this? What does that look like?
It depends on the time of the year, because in the beginning of the year, a lot of it is.
Let's say you're set in the year.
In the year. Oh, they've
they've
gotten their personal learning plans, so it looks a bit like a newspaper office. I'm the editor, and they're the reporters, and sometimes they're working on a story together, or they're doing some research on their own. So there's stations, and people are taking turns at the different stations. The critical issue is that there's very little lecturing, because the lecturing takes place in the flipped classroom. So if it had to be broken up in pieces, it would be.
I mean, everyone comes in, right? And what do you do when they walk in? What's the routine that's in place?
The routine. I like to have the notebook or the binder in the classroom, so they just leave it in place. If that's an ideal model, I love that. So that they leave it there, and so they're getting their book, and I'm coming there. Maybe there's something up there doing a little writing prompt for the day. They might be working on it in pairs on something. So there's activity as soon as they walk in. I'm walking around checking the books, because I want to make sure that there's something growing each time we meet. And the critical issues for any one activity, not to take the entire period. You've got to have some breakup. So I'd like it when there's at least one student that takes charge of the class for a segment. Maybe they do a little stand-up. They've done a particularly good job of finding an issue that they're passionate about, and so this is where the working together with another teacher really helps, because if it's the social history or social studies or something like that you can dovetail. We could say, wow, you did a really great job on this project. Could you do a 2-minute stand-up just to inform people? And so, everybody already knows I'm interested in it. I want to see how you do this. And then when they're confident about that, that's where the camera comes out, because there's the stand-up area. And then that becomes part of their portfolio. It's a formative portfolio, because it may not be, that performance might not be there. I mean, you have to be redone. But once they have it, it becomes part of the summative portfolio. So that would be typically what you would see in a classroom, workstations.
How do you handle students who are defiant, unruly, just maybe rude?
A lot of that is just lack of planning on my part, because either I haven't taken the time to get to know what the kid wants to be doing and is engaged, because that's where personal learning plans come in. It's a lot of work in the front part, and from the schools that I've studied, the teachers are doing a lot of work before it opens, if possible, or certainly that first month, meeting parents, really getting the kid to realize that they have control over what's going to be read in the classroom. It's not everybody reading the same book. There's stuff that they get to do, and so we have to find out what they want. And so if they're realizing their behavior is taking them away from something they want to do, not much of an issue. I mean, that something that I've learned from some of my mentors. Dennis Usenis is one of them, the second number in there. He has this great technique with unrulies. That day, you're on the phone with the parents and saying, here's what happened from my perspective, talk it over with your son, have them both call me back later in the evening. And then when they do, okay, let's work on this plan. The next day, call the parent up, and the plan is working terrifically. So that the parent gets positive reinforcement the next day. Even if the kid really rude the next day, the parent eventually says, every time Mr. Mack calls, there's something positive. So, and part of it is building that relationship with the parent. If I don't have the relationship with the kid, I can have a relationship with the parent. The two aren't exclusive. Yeah. Eventually the kid comes around. Okay. I'm not his enemy.
Yeah. Questions for me?
How'd you get into this?
Me?
Yeah. You've been a principal.
I'm not the principal.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm the curriculum specialist administrator at the school.
Oh, neat.
So
you come along and help people?
Though. People think I'm the principal.
Oh, neat.
They think I'm the principal because I'm always... Yeah. My role is to assist teachers with the curriculum they're using in their classroom. Not just the books, but the instructional strategies.
Nice.
You go in and if I see kids bored, I'm like, why are they bored? But yeah, it's like, I'm going to give you liberty to, flip classroom, this. I'm a proponent of whatever gets the kids excited about learning and we start to see them.
It's got to be active.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're using Springboard or the Scarlet Letter or Go Math or SAT Prep. I mean, it's how is it delivered and is it exciting to them? And
they got to have the role.
Are they hooked in? Yeah. So, but that's my role. Yeah, I help teachers. I go in, co-teach, model things that I might know that I say, hey, have you ever heard of this or seen this? Let me show you and demonstrate a lesson, plan together, talk about kids who have IEPs, how are we servicing them, ESOL students, are you accommodating for them, because we're all learning as we go. So, yeah,